What's up, folks? I just turned 34 years old, and for probably the second time in my life, I actually feel younger than ever. So, over the weekend, I celebrated my birthday with some friends. We went camping up north on the island and were able to play some beach games and just have an outrageous barbecue, which was fantastic and I'm super grateful for. But honestly, enough of that sentimental stuff. My real present to myself this birthday is the opportunity to pull and to push some heavy ass weight. So 34 is kind of an interesting number. Not only is it the beginning of like middle age, I would say, it's kind of a weird number for weights. For a dumbbell exercise, it's decently heavy. For barbell exercises, it's pretty darn light. So I was trying to think of like, well, what could I do that uses a number 34 in a workout that would actually be an interesting and challenging workout? Um, oh my God, the dips are going to be harder than I had hoped, but we'll see how it goes. Um, so one of the things I think about a lot as I age is that there are some people in my life who I knew in high school or I knew in university and whatnot. Um, and when I reconnect with them, 10 years later, 15 years later, whatever, each time they kind of just seem older and older, and they feel like they have less energy and passion for life. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to do pull-ups and dips with 34 kilograms hanging from the harness. For pull-ups, that won't be a PB. I've done like 44 kilos for 3 reps earlier this year on pull-ups. But I think that if we do that right, I'll be able to accumulate more reps than ever before. And I think 34 kilos on ring dips would be a PB for me. So we'll see how that goes. I think I way overcooked the weight for dips. Sweet Jesus. But regarding these people who just seem to have less and less energy and less vitality when I reconnect with them after years, I really don't want that to be me, okay? And that's no disrespect to those people in my life. I still love those people. But I really want to continue to live a life that is lived actively. I want to continue to enjoy my life. I want to have a passion for living. I want to curate my life. I want the things I do to be things I've chosen, not things that other people have chosen for me. I honestly have no idea. So I think the workout of the day is going to be a superset of weighted pull-ups, then a weighted ring dip, and I'm going to do 1 rep of each every minute on the minute until failure. So I expect that I'll probably be able to make it at least 5 minutes. But beyond that, I'm not actually sure. Yeah, we'll see. This is going to be the shortest video in history. But nonetheless, I think for me, when my life really started to turn around, it was somewhere between the ages of, say, 27 and 29. After I had started committing to fitness, and once I started to really see some of the benefits that fitness could bring to my life. At the beginning, of course, fitness just makes you more tired because you expend energy and you don't quite earn it right back. But in the long run, your body starts to just feel younger and things just start to feel easier. I haven't done stuff at this exact weight in quite a lot of time, and I haven't done more of an endurance style every minute on the minute kind of thing in a very long time. So it'll be fun to see. And hopefully that'll leave me ample time in between to talk to you guys with some of my mindset and some of, I don't know, my thoughts and lessons learned about getting older while trying to remain younger. So without further ado, I will get into the warm-up. I'm like kicking myself. I don't know why I thought I could do 34 kilo ring dips for as long as I could do 34 kilo pull-up or chin-ups. Alas, we live and we learn and we make mistakes. And I think that, honestly, is one of the things that I've been trying to adopt and trying to embrace more as I get older. Just like that youthful playfulness of just trying things and not being afraid to make a fool of yourself, because that is how we find our limits. That's how we push past our limits. And it's just how we learn and have fun. I'd be curious to know of you guys in the audience watching here, what your strength disparity is between ring dips and like parallel bar dips. I don't practice parallel bar dips ever because I don't have parallel bars at my home. And so the only way I really ever do dips is on the rings. And I'm quite confident that it's a significantly more challenging than parallel bar dips, but I don't know what the like rough carryover is. I'd be curious to know what you guys think. Well, I think that's the end for the dips. I'll keep doing some negatives, but I think it will be very unlikely that I complete another full rep of that. But again, this sort of useful playfulness is something that I feel like is lost. A lot of the people I meet my age, or really at any age, even like 20-year-olds, have kind of just lost their sense of playfulness. They're afraid to make mistakes. They're afraid to look like a weirdo, and I think that holds you back. So as I think I mentioned earlier, I think this is the second year in the row that I actually legitimately feel younger than I was 2 years ago. My strength has increased precipitously, my muscularity has increased precipitously, my endurance in running has increased massively, and I just feel like I have more energy for everything and more passion and a little bit less fear of putting. So now we're at minute maybe 5, 6. No, yeah, minute 6. And I'm starting to realize the hardest thing about this endurance, aside from the dips, which I'm not strong enough for, is going to be the hip endurance. Wearing 34 kilos non-stop for 6 minutes. I've definitely set a PB already. Shit, I forgot the microphone. Putting myself out there in social media and just putting myself out there in general, trying to take risks, trying to grow, trying to make mistakes, and trying to learn. And yeah, if there's one gift I could give to anyone, it would be this mindset of feeling like the world has limitless possibilities. And so I thought this video was going to be called doing 34 kilo pull-ups for my 34th birthday, but realistically it'll be wearing 34 kilograms on a harness until failure. Oh my God, I'm gonna have such a bruise on my hips, I reckon, after this. That's okay. I can improve upon myself, and I can improve the very levels of energy I have and the passion that I can bring with me from fitness into the rest of my life. It's truly remarkable. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's pretty darn good. I'm definitely starting to get tired. So this is what, 7 minutes in? Yeah, and I feel like my recovery and my mental state starting to get a little bit fatigued. And it's one of the things I love about training. Once it gets hard enough, all you can do is focus on the hard effort. You can't really think about anything else. You can't pre-plan what you're going to say, for instance. So one of the things that I think has been a big game changer for me in the last basically 2 years is that I actually started doing a bit of cardio. But yeah, if I had some advice to give to my younger self, it would have been to try to find a sport, try to find a physical pastime earlier that I could love enough to stick with for the rest of my life. I think my problem as a very young kid was my parents, sort of did the right thing of signing me up for, I think I played Pee Wee lacrosse at the beginning. I played, when I was 5 years old, I was on a soccer team. But I never really fell in love with those. I'm not sure exactly why. I don't have very vivid memories of when I was 5 to 7 years old. But I do think I was pretty terrible at them. And because I wasn't, I think one of the aspects was just I failed to find sporting endeavors where the level was accurately met my fitness. So I kind of started weightlifting roughly when I was age 27. For the first 25 years of my life, essentially. And as this workout is a good example of, if you use the wrong weight and you're trying to do something where it just doesn't meet your fitness and you're only able to get 5 reps on the dips, for example, it doesn't reinforce the habit very much. You feel like you failed, especially in sports as a young boy. If you're the slow one out, people make fun of you. It's not a good opportunity to make friends and build confidence in yourself as a young human being. And so, though I did try a lot of sports as a kid, I didn't stick with any of them. And ultimately, when I remember my K through 12 years, I was basically just like a bookworm. I studied hard. I was good at maths and pretty much everything in school. And my identity had no sort of active or physical aspect to it. I was basically entirely sedentary. I didn't really do any sports at any of a high level in high school or grade school or anything like that. I was the slowest person on my high school cross country team. Oh my God, I'm gonna need to put this weight down in between sets. It's really starting to ache. And I was the slowest person on my high school track and field team in the sprints. And then after high school, I was completely sedentary until about age 25, when I kind of started doing a bit of yoga and a bit of climbing. Then it was roughly age 27 where for the first time I started actually training, started learning how to do calisthenics, started learning how to do bodyweight fitness. And yeah, fast forward, 7 years, here we are, and now I'm pretty dedicated to the training thing, and I've learned tons about it, and I'm finally starting to make some decent progress. But one of the things that I started in the last 2 years was doing cardio. So just mostly zone 2 running with the occasional fast run. And honestly, my cardio fitness is still pretty abysmal compared to like people who do running or people who do running-based sports. But maybe I can squat directly on the ground. Will that work? Can I like sit on the weight? Oh my God, I can sit on the weight. Although I don't know if you guys can see me here. I presume you can at least see my head. So we'll stick with that for a minute. But yeah, so if there's one thing I could sort of travel back in time and do to improve my overall quality of life, I legitimately think it would be to just get involved in some sort of physical fitness practice. And it doesn't really even matter so much what it is, whether it's weightlifting like I like now, or whether it's playing soccer or whatever, any sort of sport that involves a strength or a cardio component, ideally both. But most importantly, just something that I loved and that I could be passionate about growing with for decades. Seeing large gains in that to get from like a terrible level to like, I don't know, sort of a beginner level, I think it's really helped my recovery. And I just feel less exhausted because once I actually started doing that, yeah, my life just completely turned around in a matter of like a couple years. My energy just started to augment. I don't know, like maybe my resilience to stresses and just like sort of the everyday life stresses and the stresses you find in sort of work and business of just like, oh, a roadblock appears. And, are you going to see it as an opportunity for growth? Or are you going to see it as something like, a negative, like bad luck, like, oh my gosh, I've been cursed. Why is this happening to me? I think before I started fitness, I used to just feel sorry for myself a lot when bad things would happen. And now when bad things happen, I just look for ways to make them better or look for ways to sort of make the most out of what is happening from my actual training. But also it just feels like, walking throughout the day, doing the regular stuff of daily life just feels a lot easier and less fatiguing. And yeah, that sort of lesson, that mindset, that, I don't know, resilience carries with me to every aspect of my life. And it didn't take long at all before it really started sort of, I don't know, snowballing into momentum in the rest of my life. In addition, I feel like maybe it's just another aspect of the resilience, or maybe it's more of like a physiological aspect of like my hormones being more sort of in tune with a normal human's hormones, where you're sometimes physically exhausted from doing hard physical work, which of course the modern world, we just do computer work and it can be really mentally stimulating, but it's just not physically stimulating for the most of us. So I don't know if it's, due to a physiological thing or just a mental thing than it used to before I was training. So if you're one of the people like me a few years ago and you think, I just want to get strong, I don't really give a shit about cardio, it takes too long. But I feel like I meet, maybe not adversity, but I meet everyday situations with more humor, more levity, and just more sort of positivity than I did a couple of years ago. And I don't know, I often meet a lot of people where that's just not the case. There are people who complain about a lot of things. They say, oh, the world is so negative. There are all these problems, blah, blah, blah. And they just fixate on those problems and they don't actually do anything to improve them. And they don't actually do anything to move themselves closer to their own dreams. And for me, I think just having a physical practice is just one part of my week or my day or whatever, where it's just so simple. The progress is almost guaranteed, and the link between doing hard work and getting results is just so apparent. You can't fake it. And that's just so illuminating and powerful for me. You might want to reconsider that. I think at some point in your life, you may feel like cardio could really, really benefit you. And unfortunately, it kind of takes like longer to build than strength. And it takes much more time to build. Can't speak enough about getting into a fitness habit. Do it now before it's too late, although I don't think it's ever like literally too late. But in the perspective of like optimizing the trajectory of your life, now is always the best time to start, right? And it doesn't really matter what you start on. The one thing I would suggest is just try to get into something with the mindset that you're gonna do it forever. So like, it doesn't matter how many gains you make in the first month. It doesn't matter what mistakes you make, because it's the next 5 decades that are gonna count. So it actually takes a lot more work, which is probably one of the reasons that I was avoiding it for so long, and you might be too. That one actually felt pretty heavy. What are we on now? 16 minutes. No, that's probably about what I expected for the pull-ups. I thought I could do more on the dips, but again, we live, we learn, and we make a fool of ourselves on the internet sometimes, alas. Um, yeah, so back to sort of getting started with fitness. I think the one thing I'm quite sure of is that the people who are most successful in fitness actually fucking love it, right? The people who are the best athletes started their like athletic journey young, and there was some aspect of their sport that they fucking love, whether it's like the movement or the complexity of the sport itself, or just the fact that they were really good at it and they could win. Um, Regardless, they have a deep passion for it. And so I think that is something that we, as casual athletes, non-professionals who aren't particularly great or gifted in any way physically, um, it's very important to actually love what you do, right? Because ultimately, how are you going to continue making gains for 30 years, for 50 years, for 60 years? You're just going to have to keep showing up and doing the work. And how are you going to do that? You have to genuinely believe, one, that it's good for you, but two, that it's fun, right? You have to actually enjoy the sessions. And I'm fucking having a blast here. Usually I keep my thoughts to myself while I'm working out, but I genuinely enjoy it. I look forward to every single workout. I'm excited to always improve upon my personal best. And I'm excited to just have that feeling of trying really hard. So when you're starting a fitness habit, it's more about think it's more about how can I survive this workout and enjoy it as much as I can at the beginning, but also just feel like I accomplished something and feel like I'm excited to do it again the next time. So, I mean, yeah, I guess I'll probably refer to like atomic habits. The idea of starting really, really small and making it so easy that you'd feel like an idiot for not doing your habit, this is the way to do it. So, like, start working out 5 minutes a, a session twice a week and build up from there. Right. I think that's all the tidbits I have about starting a workout plan. If you struggle to start a workout plan and you don't want to struggle through making all the same mistakes I did, I am accepting one-on-one clients for coaching right now, and I think it's very, very helpful to have a coach from time. Right now, I'm not working with a coach, but I think 2.5 years ago, I did work with a coach, and it was very useful to just see their perspectives and just take all the guesswork out of trying to do some sort of physical training. In the end, you can do it by yourself for sure. I sort of mostly did it by myself, but yeah, paying for a coach really accelerates the process. And at the end of the day, uh, yeah, we have limited time and life is short. But on the other hand, life is also very long. And I think that's actually the reason that it's worth taking up a fitness habit. Because unfortunately, the average American these days, by the age of like 55 or so, has at least one serious health issue, whether that's high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, prediabetes, one of these sort of diseases of sedentarism and the modern lifestyle. And yeah, it turns out that one of the most powerful levers is physical fitness in order to avoid that and increase your health span, the amount of time that you're living a good life and able to enjoy your life autonomously. Working out's one of them. Eating is the other really big one, but working out's one of them. Maybe if I just. Oh, this is what I should have been doing the whole time, just resting it on my knees. Yeah, that's a game changer. Damn. So I'm curious to know, you guys in the comments, if anyone's still watching now, what are some of the things that you've been able to improve upon as you get older? I know some of you, like my average audience age is roughly around my age, around 34, but like half of you will be below me, maybe in your 20s, and half of you be above me in your late 30s or 40s. Curious to know what you guys ahead of me in age and behind me are finding changes over time. Are there some things that you're able to improve upon year on year, and some things that just inevitably you do feel older? That's getting hard. So I will say I've drastically improved my sleep habits over probably the last 5 years that I've been really thinking about it. But I do think year on year, sleep gets a little bit more challenging, even as my sort of strength and cardio fitness go up. I find that I just either like need more sleep or I'm just struggling to get it. In the last couple months, I've had a bit of a problem where like around 3 or 4 a.m. I'll sort of just wake up and just be like very alert for like an hour or so and then be able to fall back asleep. So sleep is one that I'd like to make more gains on. That's starting to get hard. So yeah, I'd be curious to hear about you guys if any of you who have consistently improved your sleep over the years and over the decades. Because I think I am sleeping better and more consistently than I did, say, 4 or 5 years ago, but I think I sleep a little bit worse now than I did 1 year ago, which is a shame. But again, we can't be delusional about age. We really are getting older, even though we may feel younger, and even though we can objectively continue to get stronger, and of course continue to learn things and improve our mental states. We do age. Pull-ups feel so fucking good. I think I have a very love-hate relationship with them because on the one hand, training pull-ups in conjunction with climbing was responsible for like my biggest chronic injury of all time, that is golfer's elbow. So like the reckless pursuit of pull-up numbers and both pull-up gains really held me back in the long term on my overall physical fitness, unfortunately. But it also taught me a lot of lessons. And man, just something feels so good about pulling up heavy weight. Oh my God, it's just amazing. the reason I sort of have a hate relationship with them is I do think they're one of the hardest things to progress long term. I think, well, really any sort of body weight exercise is going to be hard to progress because as you get stronger, at some point you have to put on more muscle, and muscle, while it has an extremely positive strength to weight ratio, it does make you a little bit heavier. And so as you add weight, you increase the load you have to lift every time. So yeah, it's hard to progress forever on these. And if you're just getting started in fitness and you want to learn more about high intensity training, or you don't know what high intensity training is and you don't know what any type of training is, and you just want to get started, I just released a free program called the 2-Hour Body. And basically, it's essentially the exact style of training I've used for the last 18 months now. Basically, a full body workout that you do 2 times a week in less than 2 hours total per week of fitness. To build strength and muscle. So it's a very minimum effective dose style routine to just get you in the door with training, build those habits, and see some good gains along the way. Check it out. It's definitely starting to get hard. My chin is still getting above the bar, but it's kind of close. Yeah, yeah. We working, we struggling. It'll be funny when I rewatch this to just find out that my head's been cut off the entire time I've been sitting. That would be jokes. But it wouldn't be the first time that I've filmed an entire workout and had utterly garbage footage of it. But we're a small channel here, so we keeping it real cheap in terms of production value, my friends. Just showing you the actual training footage. No more, no less. So I think the last time I was doing every minute on the minute training was like 2 years ago. I did several months, I'm not sure exactly how many, of every minute on the minute training. So I'd kind of do daily undulating DUP, daily undulating periodization, DUP style training. So in each week, I would have a heavy day and a light day. And the heavier day, I would do doubles on the minute every minute for an exercise, from like 5 to 10 minutes roughly. So like 10 to 15, 10 to 20 total reps. And then I would do triples on the heavier day. And I saw some pretty good gains with that. It's an interesting style of training, quite different to straight sets. So I'd be interested to go back to that style of training again. I think at the end of that period was one of the times I started to develop shoulder pain from sort of overuse injuries and overhead pressing. And I think with what I know now, and 2 years later, I would just have to watch the intensity a little bit more carefully, make sure I'm really taking enough rest time, and make sure I'm not doing too many reps at or near failure as I was then. So that would be the one thing I'd do different if I was doing EMOM training again. So it's interesting. I'm into climbing. I talk about it a little bit on the channel, but I don't feature a lot of climbing content because I just don't. Anyways, but in watching a lot of climbing content, one of the things that's kind of in vogue these days is like critical force testing, trying to test sort of the amount of force you can output through your fingers, which like you can maintain fatigued at a steady state for a long period of time. And I feel like this every minute on the minute singles is kind of like that for me, whereas like it's getting a little bit harder, but I still feel like I could just almost keep going at this weight with 1 rep for a long time. 2 reps would be very hard, but 1, I feel like I could keep it up. So maybe I've unwittingly found out that my critical force for pull-ups is exactly my age, exactly 34 kilograms. I wonder what this is in pounds. 75 pounds maybe? 70 something, I would guess. For you Americans out there, like myself, obviously, as you can probably tell by my accent, kilos are just, I feel like they're a lot better for talking about human body weights. Basically, everyone is between 50 and like 80 kilos. Well, except for me, I guess I'm 85 kilos. But I really like the kilogram, man. It's useful. All right, so we're at 32 minutes, lads, and I did not think I would make it this long. I mean, in some sense, I guess I didn't make it this long. I made it like 5 dips deep. But it seems like getting 34 reps on the pull-ups is almost guaranteed at this point. So I think that's what I'll do. I'll end on that. I'll get the 34th and go for max reps there, which I imagine will still just be 1. I'll probably fail on the second, but maybe I'll get 2. Who knows? Yeah. Yeah, that's actually really exciting. I did not think I would get that many reps. Yeah, I feel like every minute on the minute doubles is probably a more effective training method because it's just not fatiguing enough. I guess I'm sort of oversimplifying there. Obviously, it was fatiguing enough on the dips because I was at such a high percentage of my 1 rep max that I just couldn't do that many. So yeah, if you tuned it right, so maybe if I was doing like 40 kilos on the pull-ups and could only make it for 10 minutes, that would be a pretty good level of fatigue, actually. So yeah, that would be something to try out. All right. Send it. 34 reps. I haven't done it yet, but in my mind, I already have. It's guaranteed. All right. Well, that was 35 reps in total, 1 for next year as well. Hell yeah, baby. All right, I'm not going to do a burnout set like I normally would do, but I just want to feel what 1 proper pull-up feels like at body weight. Yeah. This is my, yeah. Look at the marks on my hips from the harness after this. Sweet Jesus. Well, that was freaking sick. Thanks for watching with me. Ended up being a lot longer than I expected, but hopefully there were some valuable tidbits for you there. Yeah. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to all of you at some point in the next year. And yeah, my advice for you, my wish for you, my action item for you is to just actively see what you can do in the next year to improve your life. Can you make some sort of change that's small and sustainable enough that you can continue to do it for the rest of the next year? And at the end of that year, it will leave you feeling younger, feeling more hopeful, more positive, more passionate, and just more stoked on living in general. I think working out is one of those things. But there are tons of other things you can do, improving your family and friend relationships, changing your career to be something that you're really passionate about and that really helps people in a way that is visceral and feels good to you. Just spending more outside out time, breathing better, sleeping better, eating more nutritious whole foods. There are 1,000 ways to improve your life. Just choose one of them, but actually do it. That would be that's going to be my gift to myself next year, and I hope through this channel that's also my gift to you guys to inspire you to just live a little better. Thanks so much. I really appreciate your time and your patience with me as I ramble on for a very long time. Thank you very much. Let's get strong for life together.